Okay, I'm about to share with you the most terrifying things for bass players. Okay? Are you ready? I'll understand if you shut this video off because this is just hard to see, okay? This is really just, this is like it could induce panic attacks. Okay? Oh my God. I know. It's terrifying. Right? Reading music. No. Like bass players and lots of musicians want to avoid this like the dentist. Okay? Here's the thing. A monkey can be taught how to read music. And I'm going to show you the basics, and I'm going to prove it's not as hard as you think. And here's the thing. Why bother? I've got lots of method books. I've played gigs where people have handed me books with the sheet music they expect me to play. And guess what? You're closing a lot of doors if you cannot read music. It doesn't mean you have to become a great reader, but it's not hard. So stop avoiding it and open some doors for yourself, okay? So I put together a cheat sheet for you guys, okay? Which describes the real super basics of what you need to know about how to start reading music, okay? And there's only a few symbols on here, and there's I'm telling you, you will know how to read music by the end of this. Not fully, but have the basics and kind of take away some of that fear. I'm going to prove to you that a monkey could learn to do this, okay? So try to ignore my dog up there who wants my attention here. So what we have here is the ledger lines of a music staff, okay? This symbol right here, this sort of, I guess, that shape with the two dots there, that just means that it's in the bass clef, okay? You've probably seen this symbol be something looking like this symbol. This is horrible, I know. This is typically a treble clef. Not typically, this is the treble clef. And this is what identifies this as being written in the bass clef, okay? And well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is when a composer identifies the notes they want you to play, it means that each of these lines and spaces represents a different note. And there's only, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are the notes. Every line and space represent a different note, okay? So, and this is why I've marked this as number one, okay? Because this is what you got to remember. If there's one thing you want to take away from this video, it's this mnemonic right here, okay? Now, you may have heard this before. Every good boy deserves fudge, okay? I think I learned that in grade 2 music class when they used to actually teach music to kids. I don't think they do that anymore, but you may have heard that before. Every good boy deserves fudge. In the bass clef, okay, we read, the mnemonic we use is, good boys deserve fudge always. Can you remember that? If you can remember that, and I know a monkey can remember that, good boys deserve fudge always. The first letter of that, each of those words represents what that line is. So any notes falling on that lowest line there, like this example I have here, would be a G, okay? Anything falling on this line would be a B, a D, an F, and I think you can guess what it would be here. So those indicate all the lines. So if you know that, if you find something that falls on one of the spaces, well, you just need to know, okay, well, what's the letter that falls in between, for example, B and D? Well, the note letter that falls between B and D is C. C is lower than D. C is higher than B. So if you know this, you know how to read the staff, okay? That's the hardest part right there. So there's a couple more things that you're going to want to know and watch out for. And that's these symbols, right? This symbol, and I'll talk about this symbol in a second here. This is the sharp symbol. Okay? And what that means is if you see this bass clef and you see a sharp on one of these lines or spaces, it means every time you see that note, you would play F sharp. So this sharpens every F that shows up in the following composition. Okay, every time you see something land on that line, means you sharpen that F. It's not a natural F, as they say. This symbol is the flat symbol, and I think it's supposed to be solid, like filled in the middle there. And what this means is whenever you encounter a note falling on this ledger line, that's what that's called, a ledger line, you would lower it by a half step, right? So in this case, every time a B shows up, it should be played as a B flat instead of a B natural, okay? So let's recap. Good boys deserve fudge always. So we know we can deduce what notes we're expected to play, and then these symbols will describe, is it a sharp, a flat, or a natural version of that note wherever it's written, okay? This is where this symbol comes in. If you see this symbol, it basically means, so let's say that we had a note identified sitting on this line, okay? If it's preceded with this symbol right here, then what that means is you should play that. You should basically ignore, you should just play it in its natural, forget that it's sharpened in that case. So this is a way of sort of like temporarily canceling out an indication that may have been made up front. Because essentially what the composers are trying to do here is say, every time you encounter an F in my piece of music, play it as an F sharp, except when you see this symbol. Because sometimes they want to like play an accidental. So that's what this symbol allows them to do. If you can get that into your head, you can start beginning to read bass clef, okay? And this is not the whole story, obviously. There's, I haven't talked about like the different, lengths of notes or like time signatures or repeated sections, but this is like the very, very basic, essential, need to know stuff to just start understanding what notes is the composer expecting you to play. And that takes you a hell of a lot further than, running away from sheet music. With this knowledge, you can pick up just about any method book and start like reading music and deciphering what notes people are asking you to try to play, okay? So I guess I would probably challenge you guys to create your own little cheat sheet like this and staple it to something close by. And, if you've been avoiding like picking up a certain book or whatnot because you're too afraid that you could never get past the reading skill hurdle, I'm telling you, this is simple. Like babies learn to do this. Little children learn to do this before they start to learn to like read. You can do it, okay? And it'll open up doors. You don't have to become a good reader for this to be useful to you as a musician, a bass player. And this kind of skill can mean the difference between like getting a gig and not getting a gig. Okay? Stay cool.